Hi guys, it's your girl Trees and I'm back with another video. Shining Girl here sent me another frontal, but this time they sent me a 613 frontal. In this video I will be showing you guys how to tone your 613 knots and how to make your 613 knots giving scalp. I made a bleaching, toning, and plugging video on non-613 hair, so make sure you check those two videos out before you watch this one. But let's get into it, guys. Before I tone the knots, I like to use some Got2B spray and spray it on the hairline of the frontal and comb all the hair back. This just makes sure that all the hairs are uniform and make sure that hair dye does not get on the frontal. To make my mixture, I'm going to be using some TRESemme Rich Moisture Conditioner. I'm going to pour a good amount into a bowl. And then I'm going to be going in with some Adore Honey Brown hair dye. I'm going to pour like a decent amount. I can't really say how much I'm pouring, but you guys could see how much it is. And then I'm going to go in with the Adore Sienna Brown as well. I like to add a small amount of that. I noticed with the Honey Brown, it has like this greenish tint. So I add the Sienna Brown to make it more of a chocolate color when I mix the two together, and it turns into this, you know, really gross looking brown. Now let's tone these knots. There's no really right or wrong way to apply the dye onto the knots. All I would say is just make sure you are applying the dye with very light pressure. If you apply a lot of pressure, it's gonna seep through the lace and it's gonna dye like the roots of the hair. So you want to make sure that you're only dyeing the knots. Make sure you are very light-handed when you're applying this dye. I let the dye sit on the knots for about 15 minutes and then I rinse out the dye with cold water to make sure that the dye doesn't stain the blonde hair. And then I went in with some TRESemme Rich Moisture shampoo. After that, I went in with the TRESemme Rich Moisture conditioner. Yes, look at those knots, okay? It's definitely giving scalpiana now. The color took very well on the knots. It's definitely giving skin tone. Okay, I'm so happy how my knots turn out. I like to use a darker stocking cap when I'm plucking my 613 wigs. It makes it easier for me to see the hairs that I'm plucking. I like to use a pointy tweezer because a pointy tweezer allows me to pick individual hairs at a time. I prefer to pluck on wet hair because it's easier to pull the knots out. And then I part the first layer because we're not going to pluck that yet, and then begin plucking behind that. If you haven't seen my how to pluck for beginners video, I advise you to go watch that video. I went into full detail on how to pluck and I shared my tips to help making plucking easier. If you struggle with plucking, I advise you to go watch that video. I'm not really going to get into like full depth with this video because it's going to be very like repetitive. So it's basically like the same thing, the same method that I did in my last video. So if you guys don't know how to pluck, you can watch my last video and then you'll know how to pluck. The only difference between 613 hair and non-613 hair is the wig cap that I put on my canvas. I just put a darker wig cap just so I could be able to see when I'm plucking my 613 wigs. One tip I will say about 613 hair when plucking is that you do not have to pluck as much. You want to do light plucking. You don't want to do heavy plucking because you don't want your hairline to look bald because it's already a lighter color. It's okay to have like more of a fuller look when you do blonde hair. Alright guys, I hope this video was very helpful to you guys. I hope you guys learned something. Please like this video if you like this video. Don't forget to comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.